Hello, hello, my hey, I got something to say. And boy, do I have something to say. First of all, I'm ecstatic that Beth is in the house. She is so incredible. Not only is she a well sought off speaker, but she's got that abundant mindset that is always sharing opportunities for others. So I got to give her props. But to give her props, people, I had no clue. So Prop Up Tuesday, you haven't gone there yet, on LinkedIn, go and nominate one person a week, because look, in a few days, this jar. I can't get another name in there. Oh my goodness. So every week, I'm going to just pick out a name randomly, and then we're going to prop that person up all week. I got so many nominations, I'm going to have jar after jar. And this is perfect timing because today is the first day. I'm going to pick a name out of here later and put it up on LinkedIn. But I can't think of a person that doesn't prop up people more. Beth, incredible, man. I love your style. Freaking awesome. But before we get into it, let me tell you a little bit about Beth English. She is a speaker, an artist, and a leader who helps high achievers harness creativity and emotional intelligence to build thriving lives. She teaches leaders how to regulate their nervous systems, cultivate joy, and unlock their full potential. Through engaging talks, expressive art, and transformative experiences, Beth empowers people to design lives filled with meaning, connection, and fulfillment. Yay, Beth! How are you, honey?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
I love the background. You told me you just moved a few weeks ago and you already have it together like this.
Yeah, that's just my personality.
I
You
mean,
know, those
everything blows. I love. Can you come to my home? I mean, look at this, Mr. God. Everyone's like, I got to come to your house. That's no background.
those type A personalities that need their environment a certain way.
Yeah, mine's
Raise your
called
hand
control.
if that's you, if you're listening.
Yeah, mine's called controlled chaos, Beth. But anywho, thank you. Thank you for taking time out. I know you're all over the place, and I'm so thrilled for you. But let's just start with the one statement that Beth happened to say, and I resonate with. You are made for joy. It's your
Mhm.
birthright, not a reward. Stop waiting for permission and start creating a life that lights you up today. Beth, why'd you pick that statement for women around the world and men that support us?
Because it's 100% true, and many of us don't live by it. Do you know how many people I meet who are waiting for just the right time to do something for themselves, or just the right time to give themselves permission to do to have their needs met? I mean, we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and while we're waiting, we're just busy and stressed and put too much on the plate. And we're all works in progress, and we have to be gentle and kind with ourselves. But I feel like the amount of celebration that we give ourselves is too small. We got to celebrate everything, feel the joy in all the things that we do, even if it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got about 1,000 questions on this one. And most of them are, I'm gonna give you Sally Best. I make up names because she resonates with a lot of the people and me. So logically, most of the people that tune into this show, they know it. They know it logically.
Hmm.
But somewhere in their brain, let me quote Sally. Hey, Beth, I get it. I get it. The more I show up for joy, the more I spread joy. I don't have to justify it, but somewhere in the back of my head, I feel as if I have to earn it. I have to help more people. I have to work harder, and then I deserve joy. I don't know how to change that messaging. Oh, please. Oh, please. Now, we get a lot like that. And I can
Hmm.
relate to it too. And my friend, who is the most amazing human being that was over here on Sunday, was saying about 17 times how hard she worked. Like And my parents worked and they worked and they deserved to be happy. They worked so hard. And I was like, okay. And there was no changing her mind. Like you got to
Mhm.
be bleeding all over to deserve to be happy because there's so many people suffering. I know
Mhm.
that's a big statement, but let's answer Sally Bell. Like, and I get that. Logically, she knows, but she can't get there.
I think we have to understand that the way that we're conditioned and the way that the systems in the world is set up, that our neurology says, wait until you are worthy. Wait until you give yourself, until you've produced enough. Wait. And see, the thing is, like, there's never enough because we're going to keep working, we're going to keep creating, we're going to keep doing all the things, and we can wait our entire lives before we rest. And it's only because that's the way our brains are wired. And that's why it is so hard because we have to go against what our neurology is saying. This is the most efficient path for our neurons to travel to say, this is what you do. And that's how it is. But if you choose, and I say choose, because that's what it takes to change that path. And it happens little by little, moment by moment, day by day. That frequency and consistency of change is how we're going to actually get there. Now, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I truly understand what it means to live in fear and shame so much that it's debilitating, that it consumes your mind, body, and soul to the point where I didn't want to even be on this earth anymore. And it wasn't until that I got into a lot of trauma recovery therapy and learned more about my brain and that our neurology is wired a certain way. And if we want to change, we have to rewire it. And so that's why I started a campaign about joy in my own life. It was my personal campaign for more joy. And I sought it out everywhere I went. I was very intentional. I did things every day. I created art. I was around community. I mean, everything that you could Google online about how to have more joy, I picked out the things that worked for me and I did them consistently until it was like, oh, I'm actually feeling and seeing joy more. This is new. This is a different way of showing up and being. And it is all about your perspective. And to change your perspective, you have to change your mind. And to change your mind, you have to change the way you feel. And if you want to change the way you feel, you got to get into your body. You got to do the work. Most people are not even in their bodies enough to know what their emotions, their sensations, their sensory system is even communicating them. And we have to get really familiar with that. So getting to know yourself on a neurological level, on an emotional level, is not fun because you're going to find things you don't want to find and you're going to have to heal those woundings and it's going to be one after the other. But man, when you do this as a practice, it's like you are unstoppable.
Mm. So you
You
said it
know.
so well, my friend, so well. I'm going to bring you with me. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Let's back up a bit, if you don't mind. Share with us, why were you so fearful? You said you had so much fear. Why
Hmm.
in that fear state? I think it will help that.
As a child, I was sexually abused, and so I didn't really have an environment where I felt safe or I had people around me that I trusted. So at a young age, I grew up believing that, I had to depend on myself,
Mm.
that everyone else around me was out to get me, that what was happening to me was somehow my fault, and therefore I felt shame over it because it was dirty and wrong and bad.
Oh.
And so I carried that with me for about 25 years
Mm.
until I started having flashbacks and it was consuming me, these flashbacks, these images, these visions. And so I knew I had to get into therapy. And then from there I've learned a lot about how abuse as a child developmentally affects the brain and affects the emotions and how you carry that with you as an adult. And the same ways that we used to cope as children does not work as adults. And so you have to relearn all your coping mechanisms. The way you communicate, the way you identify with your feelings, all of those things had to change if I wanted to live a healthy, secure life.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
just didn't want to go back to the way it was. And so I was just full speed ahead. Let's do this. Let's change this brain. I don't know what it's going to take, but let's do it. And I'm not giving up.
well, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but I'm truly grateful that you're on the other side of it and you're
Hmm.
spreading the word and willing to share to help others because
Hmm.
you can see the joy coming out of you. It's just exuding out of you. You don't have to fake it, schmake it. So let's go back. You mentioned about having those practices, and I know you're an artist. Were you always an artist, and was that one of your outlets? I can draw stick figures. I'm really good at that.
I've always been creative. I was a dancer growing up. I studied in a dance studio, and so movement in the body was something that I was getting that was so beneficial, but I maybe didn't even realize it at the time, how much dancing was helping me cope. Because that was something that my mom really wanted for me was to be a dancer. I preferred playing music, and my dad was a musician, and so I played piano, and I did take piano lessons and did band and things like that. So music was always a part of my life, and then painting came along later in life after I studied art history in college and heard all the great stories of all the great artists and thought, wow, that's a great way to live. Just what an exciting life. And it stayed with me, and I thought, well, that's what I want to do. And so I started painting and playing music and just expressing myself. Then I got into performance like comedy and keynote speaking, and I just
Oh,
love
the
expressing
whole
myself.
gamut. That's like
Yeah.
artists. Most times they're like more introverted, and then you're a comedian, and that's that's a whole different ball of wax.
It is, and it's fun to be expressive, to create, to be in community, and I found really great communities in the arts. People from all ages, all backgrounds, so many great stories, why people decide to be a creator, to be an artist. And so for the healing process, though, I would say that painting was the main art form that I used to express myself and to express what was going on inside of me. I did write a lot of music too. And so in my keynotes, I do share what the art means, what the songs mean when they were created, what I was going through, and really tie in some of the key learnings that I discovered going through trauma recovery, tie it into how does that illustrated through art? How does that look through art, sound through art? And that way, it really does reach people more than just words. Like they can attach meaning by the visuals and by the sounds and by the words that I sing. And so it's been such a great way to communicate what I went through and have it impact people in a way that's really meaningful and profound.
I love the way that you put out what you work with. You work with high achievers, right? You're working with high achievers. And I would love the story, the dialogue to be changed for what people think it takes to be a high achiever.
Mm.
And when I'm reading your points and you're talking about your creativity and it's a practice and it's a choice and rest is productivity and emotional regulation, I think you can change the story
Mm-hmm.
for people. So let's break it down how you say rest is productivity. Because I think for so many high achievers, they don't believe that.
That's
And
because they're caught up in being away all the time, where they're in their fight or flight, they're in their sympathetic nervous system, which feels it's chronic.
yeah,
Stress is chronic. So we don't really know the difference when we're not in it. So we think, oh, this is normal. But we're tired all the time. And then stress then shows up in a lot of different ways in the body, whether it's gastrointestinal or migraines or body aches or just inflammation in general. And so, how can we expect to be a high achiever when our bodies and our sensory systems are burnt out? I mean, I know that when I rest and I feel good, I can do so much good work. And so when it comes to all of the challenges I've faced, growing a business and building community and making an impact on others, I know that my number one priority is taking care of myself because I can't show up on stage speaking a message of joy and speaking a message of fulfillment if I'm not practicing that myself. I would be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I do not ever want to be. And so it is important that we take care of ourselves and we feel good in our bodies. And that may not feel familiar for a lot of people who do have chronic stress because their hormones and their, like the cortisol that goes through our body and the adrenaline that we get used to it at a certain level. I mean, I speak this because I've lived it. You know what I mean? I understand the differences between living in a high stress environment versus a low stress environment and how much more I can actually get done because my clarity has improved, my communication is better. So I have to remind myself and let my body tell me when I am in a when I'm
Yeah.
feeling good. If I'm not at that point yet, then I just got to keep doing the work, keep doing the work. And that doesn't mean that it's this constant thing. It's up and down. You know, when you're traveling, when you're speaking, it's like it's a lot. You
Yeah.
get home and you crash. And you're expected to get up and work again the next day? I don't think so. Gotta take
You know,
care of me.
I have to tell you a story because it's the same thing with me. I mean, I teach this, I believe it, I live it, and still there are times where I know I'm ignoring the signs. I'm not there. And just recently, actually 6 weeks ago, Beth, I woke up in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., and I was doubled down looking at the ground. My muscles tightened up so much, I couldn't stand up. I literally was bent over. I was like one of those people sometimes you see in the grocery store. And going to all the different doctors and the specialists that I know, it really was not just, but it was my muscles saying no more.
Mhm.
I had fallen because I entered a dance contest. It's a whole nother thing. The girls swiped me out with their split, and I just kept working as hard with my workouts out of alignment.
Mhm.
I just kept doing it until, and it's now 6 weeks on Monday that I'm able to stand upright, going to severe physical therapy. And it was almost like, okay, one way or another, you're going to align and realize, slow down to speed up. And let me tell you,
Mhm.
I wasn't able to do as much and go as many places. I had to cancel things. When do you think I was the most productive and creative? Then I had a
I believe it.
TPT out. Is that crazy? And it's wackadoo. I'm like, Sandy, when are you gonna now? This last time I didn't ignored it, it was like a 6 month journey. This was like 6 weeks. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting it quicker, Beth. But seriously, and I tune in every single day. I
Mhm.
crazy,
I
isn't it?
know. I know. It's like when you're in a bad relationship and you tolerate bad relationships and then you learn from it and then you don't tolerate bad relationships anymore and then it's like, "Oh, that's all you have to do is just stop tolerating feeling bad."
I like that.
We tolerate so much because I think as women, we're told to just grin and bear it.
Yeah, suck it up.
Hmm. And it's like, no. We got to take care of ourselves. That's why I'm preaching rest. I'm preaching nervous system regulation. I'm preaching emotional intelligence, emotional regulation. I mean, all of those things I believe can be achieved through self expression. And as women, it's important that we express our needs, that we share with the people around us what our needs are, and hope that they can support us in that. Because if we feel dismissed by others, we will tend to dismiss ourselves. And I know that when I abandon myself, that's when I feel the worst because I know that I'm dismissing my needs. And then I feel awful. Self-abandonment is such a thing that we do. We may not even realize it. It's small, these small micro moments and decisions that we make abandoning our needs all throughout the day. Whew.
I never heard self-abandon. Tell me a little bit more about that. Meaning ignoring all the signs?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
knowing what you need, but then not doing it. Saying like, oh, I really need a day to rest, but then being like, oh, I'll do that later. Or, oh, this relationship has me upset about something. I won't say anything because I don't like confrontation. Do you know how much mental load takes away from our energy? How much that we dismiss the things we need to say and speak up about just drags on us every single day? Like that mental load is exhausting as well. I mean, beyond the physical exhaustion that we face, the mental exhaustion. Ugh. I just want people to feel free in their minds, bodies, and spirits.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm here to do. That's the kind of work that I'm doing. And for high achievers, they are the number one culprits because they're dismissing a lot of the things that they know they need to do to get
Yes,
ahead.
they are. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Betty Boops here because
Okay.
I can relate. I call her Betty Boop. It's because I don't know a Betty. Well, I maybe an animation character, but I don't know a Betty Boop. So, and I get this when you because you mentioned this about speaking up. I don't mind confrontation. I'll go in for difficult conversations. I've been doing it for a while, owned companies. I mastered it. I'll go in. Like, Sandy, you do it. But I've realized in the last year where I don't do it is when I think, well, their life is rough. They can't handle it. I'm a happy, joyful person. You know, I can just, I don't want to tell them they're fragile. They wouldn't be able to handle it, even in a kind, loving way. I just won't say anything because my life is so great. And Betty Boop said that too. Betty Boop was like, okay, okay. She must have said it like 17 times. Okay, okay, okay. I think my life is so wonderful that why should I tell people what I'm really feeling when their lives, well, they seem like they're very unhappy and fragile.
I would say that you're making assumptions about them and you're trying to control their emotional experience, and that's something we can't do.
There you go, Betty Boop.
Mhm.
I like that.
I know this because I've been in this place before, but that's another form of self-abandonment when you neglect your own voice because you're assuming that someone else can't handle what you have to say.
Mhm.
I do this in my relationship a lot,
Yeah.
but I know that that's false. And so my challenge is to feel the feel and speak up, but be respectful, you know? But then also validate the person and say, can you hear, is this something that you can receive? I mean, ask permission before you share as well.
Yeah.
Like get a feel for their emotional um, space.
Yeah.
And sometimes our assumptions are right and they can't handle what we have to say. Then let's figure that out when we get there.
I like that. I'm laughing because my husband, and I love him to death. Most times when I sit down, he goes, oh, here we go. And he goes, I had you for a while, but then I lost you. Because I'm trying, but he's so like black and white. He's like, I have no idea. So I have to be really creative because he wants to understand me, but he has no idea what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
But that's a good thing. That's okay. At least he's trying. All right.
He's trying.
He's trying. I had you for a while. Okay. So I had somebody say this on one of my podcasts, and I still don't understand it. And maybe you can help me with it. And I'm talking about community fuels transformation. She said, the only way you can see yourself truly is when other people mirror you.
Mhm.
I don't, I tried, Beth, but I really don't understand that. And I know she was talking about people that support you and around you and can truly listen with empathy. Can you explain that? Because I really don't get it.
Well, when we have close relationships with other people, we start to see ourselves in the relationship and some things we like and some things we don't like. And when, community is great. But I feel like it's those more intimate relationships that reveal the most about us because it shows us how we respond to challenges, how we feel when things happen. And I mean, a lot of it is how we respond. Are we reacting or are we responding? Most of the time, we're not going to have strong reactions to surface level relationships. It's those deep relationships where we feel hurt or we feel um, different things come up in our emotional system that are giving us information, and we either can communicate it in a secure way or we can um, express it in a way that feels sometimes abusive or projecting. I mean, if we have self-awareness, then we can say, oh, what's coming out of me now? What is this? This is interesting. Let me think about this a little bit because this isn't their stuff. This is my stuff. But I'm trying to make it their stuff by projecting and blaming. And for a
Yeah,
lot
that
of us, we can't see outside of that. We can't see how it is us actually. So it's those relationships that over time help us heal and see those wounds that need more love.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's just those close relationships that bring up old wounds and think, where'd that come from? It's not really
Yeah,
about this problem, it's about something else.
yeah,
Most people don't go there.
that's true. Okay, I get it more. I'm going to ponder it.
Okay.
I knew we'd run out of time and I'll have to have you back on. But before we go, they want to know what's your routine in the morning? Like, what do you do to get in that joyful mindset? And do you have a routine?
I try to have a routine. It's not the same every day, but like, see this little fellow here, this little baby? I play with him. He's he's brushing up against the couch. Oh, look,
Yeah,
here
I
he is.
see
He
them.
came
I
to
see
see me. He knew I was talking about him. We
Muddy
play
River or
together.
something, Muddy Water or something.
Muddy Waters,
Hey,
like
Muddy
the
Water.
blues musician. Yeah. Um, I, love to stretch in the morning. So just getting into my body in a gentle way, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. This morning I did go work out, which was yay for me. Because that's not always the case, but um, having a nice breakfast. Sometimes I journal and I like to have a slow morning. I don't like to just get up and go. I like to, get my mindset ready, thinking of things I'm grateful for, appreciating even the challenges because it's growing something new in me, just trying to get my head straight. So journaling helps with that, being playful, being in my body, going outside. I live right next to the woods, so a lot of times I'll go take a walk around the trails, look out at the water on the lake. And I moved here for that reason, so that I could have access to the water and the trails. Because, Nashville is a landlocked city, and I grew up on the Gulf Coast. I love water. And so I have to be around water. It's very healing for me. And so, yeah, just slow gentleness. Yeah.
Beth, I really appreciate you being on the show. We have to wrap up. But before we go, is there anything we didn't get in that you want to say to the women and the men that support us around the world?
I would say find a way to feel self-expressed today, even if that's sharing with a friend something vulnerable that you're going through that you may need support with, even encouragement, whether that's sharing with a friend or even writing down. Sometimes when we write down our struggles, it shifts our perspective because we can read it and see it from a different perspective than just hearing it in our brain. So like writing it down, speaking it out, sometimes that helps us understand what's going on with us more. So just find ways to express the hard things that you're feeling. Like don't keep that inside. You'll feel relief. This is how we restore ourselves. It's restorative. It's more than just rest. We have to restore ourselves.
I am so thrilled that you're putting this message out there. I am so thrilled. How can they find you when they want to book you for their next awesome keynote speaking engagement? Where can they look you up, Beth?
You can find me on bethinglish.com. That's BETHINGLISH. And I'm all over the socials. I'm all over the internet. You can't miss me if you Google Beth English. If you want to see my art, Google has so many images. It's great. I've got great SEO. So, my digital footprint is strong. You will find me all sorts of things from when I was creating more art to when I started speaking, doing comedy. There's all kinds of content out there. But yeah, just email me, Beth@bethenglish.com, and you can find me there too.
Remember, it's with an I. All right, my hey, I got something to say, people. I love you guys. You're freaking awesome. Keep spreading peace, love, and joy in abundance. Beth and I would really appreciate you sharing, liking, and rating it. Oh, yeah, and don't forget to subscribe. I haven't said that in 15 years. Naughty Sandy. I love you guys. Beth, thank you so much for being on the show. And until next
Thank you.
time, you know what I'm going to say. Toodles. Bye, Beth.